I'm delighted to welcome my colleague, Doulaye Kone.
Thank you. Excuse my voice today. I'm trying to do the best to communicate with a broken voice. The music you just heard is what I used to hear in my childhood when I would go to defecate. Seriously. I was born in a very rural community where there was no toilet, and this is what I was enjoying. And this is very good memory for me because being in the bush like this, fresh air, fresh breeze, there's no flies, there's nothing bothering you. It's perfect. That's what I've been enjoying in my childhood. At that time, I never understood why people die, why kids die. You know, you play with kids, and a few days later, parents came to you and say, okay, this one is gone. Like, why they're gone? So then I left that community, started going to school where I was confronted to everything. But that's already started in my community because, you know, when the community grows, my dad realized we cannot always go to the places where we used to be. We used to go to ease ourselves. So he built a latrine at home, mainly because when the community starts growing, you have kids at home, you have women working at home, and he thought it would be much more convenient for them to have a place to go closer. But it turned out the experience of using that latrine was a difficult one. Because when you're in the bush, you don't face all the bad smell. When you're squatting a latrine, my goodness, there's heat coming out of this. There's flies everywhere. And then what people do, they want to retain themselves and go in the evening, because in the evening there's less flies. But in the evening, you have to batter the mosquitoes as well. So, like day and night, it's really challenging. But that's what we had. So, moving from open defecation to let's have a pit latrine, and that pit latrine, okay, you have to really find the best way. So, when I started going to school, in every cities where I went, it was the same type of toilet and the same type of challenges I was facing as well. It was not until when I was 12 years old that I discovered something else, which was a flush toilet, one that we use now. So I was in a boarding school, and there were those things, and I had to, I don't know whether to sit or squat, but what was really intriguing to me was I had to defecate in clean water. I mean, overcoming this psychological, but it was hard. From where I came from, you use rainwater to wash clothes. You use water from river for drinking, but you never defecate in clean water. So it took me some time to get used to that. So when I went to universities, I studied physics and chemistry. Because in that community where I grew up, you know, if you remember the bushes and all that, during nighttime, it's very dark. And when you look up in the sky, it's very beautiful. And I used to see the moon with dark side. And I always thought, there are people living up there. I want to go there one day. And a lot of time I would see things flying in the skies. I'm like, okay, these are things which are bringing people to that place. So the motivation for me to study math and physics and all that was, I think that's the right thing I should do so that one day I can be on the moon. So I went to university studying physics and chemistry. What happened there is I met friends. These are the people you see on the pictures. I made really very good friends. And these guys they were studying medical science. And I started asking them, sometimes very curious, I was asking them about disease, what makes people sick, because when they would come, they would tell me what they're learning and what is disgusting, and they had to do some of the things with people who were sick. And so it's where I learned words like infectious diseases, and there was even an hospital for that. And everyone there is affected with some sort of so infectious diseases, and a lot of that was like things that can be preventable. And they would explain to me why people die, what makes people sick. And this is when I realized, oh, actually, from where I came from, all the kids, siblings who died, they died from preventable disease. They died from something that could be prevented. Then I started asking myself, like some of the people said before, whether I was in the right track of career, whether I was studying the right thing, and what I could contribute. No, become an astronaut and go to the moon, or do something else. I started reading more about those disease type of contamination, type of bacteria and viruses that humans excrete and where it ends up at the end. I decided to change completely my career. Decided to learn something about, because I realized with these friends, it comes through the water. So can I do something to either prevent that it touch the water, or can I do something to clean the water? So I thought, okay, I would look at everything that every course the university was offering, whether I could take another course. There were none. So I had to travel abroad. I wanted to study sanitary engineering because this was the field where you could do something to clean water or to clean wastewater. So, but the first action I did was I called the medical doctor of the family. The reason I called him was, in that community, so people like to drink water from wells when there's no river, okay? And my mom was a very good fan of well water. But she was also one who was having diarrhea like almost all the time. And when she would have diarrhea, the medical doctor, instead of prescribing any drug, he would prescribe mineral water for her to drink. So I think you make the connection. In my conversation with my friend, I understood the water is polluted. That's why he's prescribing mineral water. So I asked this guy, please, you should convince my mom to let me connect her to the water supply network, because that way it will be cheaper for us. We won't have to pay all these expensive bottles all the time. Because she wouldn't trust me as a kid to advise her on what is best, because she didn't like the taste, of course. But with the help of that medical doctor, we got network water at home. And diarrhea stopped for many people. And that was my first big decision. Second big decision was, okay, to go to this school. So this is me. This is me, at the age of 24, making a big decision. I had to leave my country. I'd never dreamed to go outside of that country. I thought we had everything. It was a beautiful country. But there were no sanitary engineering school. Now there are. Okay. But at that time there was none. So I had to find a school. So I looked in many countries, and I found one in Belgium. So this is the first picture of my first passport, ready to go. I went to that school, and I was very pleased with all the big experts and the great teacher, the great scientists in that school. But after 1 year of really great science and engineering, I was still very disappointed. Because everything I was learning in sanitation was to solve a problem where this community in Europe, like where I live now in the US, they would use 100 to 200 liters per day and few grams of feces and urine and mix all that and you have to treat that. I came from a community where people don't use 200 liters per day. They don't use 100 liters per day. And you have to build all this network to connect that. So I had to ask the professors all the time, so what do we do when people have latrine? And no one has answer for that. What do we do when they don't have sewer? No one had answer for that. It was great learning, but at the same time very disappointing. No one in that school could really answer me what. I went there with big dream. I thought after 1 year I'll go back and then design something. But it wasn't possible. This is a time where I really started thinking, maybe I should start doing some research. Maybe I should convert myself into a researcher. I never thought of doing a PhD or doing research before, but when the solution is not there, maybe you have to find ways to start thinking. So I started working very early. After my master's, started PhD work to try to understand how we can design solutions for communities who are not living on sewer system, do not have pipe water, who does not have the luxury to waste water in flush toilet. I did a lot of work. During those times also, even when I was doing work in the lab, I've always been engaging with service providers, with entrepreneurs in the field, with municipalities, with utilities. And because I think to design a solution that would work, at the end of the day, someone has to be motivated to do this. And if the motivation is a business that can grow, we're likely to end up with a much more sustainable solution. So I've never tried to design something without the involvement of any entrepreneur, without the understanding of what the economic benefit would be for the users and for the service providers. So some of those entrepreneurs are in the room today. I believe Madame Fay, who you heard very early, is one that I met very early, around the year 2000. Dr. Bekai is one of those. He's now CEO of a company in Dakar. These are some of the entrepreneurs who helped me understanding how we can do better engineering to come up with solutions that would work for them, that would help them actually expanding services in communities. So when I was doing this, I got one email. So we have the same picture. I got one email. It was 2009. The email was saying, Bill Gates wants to meet with you. Bill Gates wants to meet with you and his friend to discuss sanitation. That was very intriguing. 2009, there was a lot of spam about Bill Gates and lottery. You can win lottery, because the foundation is doing. So I thought that's the same type of scams. But for some reason, I decided to reply to that email. I said, okay, I'm in Switzerland. I have a passport from Côte d'Ivoire. Never get a visa to the US. And anyway, I'm going on vacation, so forget about this. And the response was, where are you going on vacation? We can secure an appointment for you in the US Embassy. And that's when I realized this was really very serious. So I went to the meeting, and I found two good friends. One is sitting here, Chris Buckley, and Blanca Jimenez. We were free invited in this meeting. It was the first time in my life that I was in a meeting with like-minded people. So all I learned in sanitary engineering and all I was forced to do was work on one process, biological system. You can treat sanitation system only by doing biological processes. And when I would ask people, you're trying to remove all the nitrogen and all this, let's remove the pathogens. Oh no, Doulaye, this is not a problem because the water is going to the river. Pathogen is not an issue. Let's remove the nitrogen and all this other thing. In that meeting, the focus was how can we rethink sanitation to make it safer for people. what other processes that we've not explored. So I found people who were really open. I didn't know who Bill Gates was, and it was that room. It was only at the end when someone said, okay, has Bill Gates said, has Bill Gates said, no, okay, so this is Bill Gates then. So, and because he was sitting there like any of these scientists, you could not tell, I didn't check his name, his picture on, because like Clement said before, it was a science meeting, so you go there to discuss science, you not go in a celebrity meeting. So, and then I realized this is very serious. I got a tour of the lab afterwards, and I was blown away by the capability of the lab, where Bill was engaged, where he's doing most of his research. And then I felt like I wasted my time trying to do all these things. I should have come here. And before that, I never dreamed I would go once to the US or I would work to the US. But since visiting that lab, I'm like, this is the place where I think I can make things change. But, okay. So 2011, let's go a little bit forward. 2011, I found myself going back to the foundation. And 2 weeks later, I started in January, 2 weeks later, here we are exactly in the same type of meeting. Now we discussed in 2009, how can we implement? How can we set up a program that would make sanitation much safer for people? And the focus would be on solutions that work for communities who are not living on sewer system, communities who are not using 100 or 200 liters of water per day. And this is the majority of the people in the world. So I found myself, naturally blending into this work. So this is how the Reinvented Toilet program started. What we're trying to do is, reducing inequality in the world. If I tell you the story of the community where I came from, where people die without really knowing that it's because the infrastructure to access safe water, safe sanitation is not there. So if through a program like this, we can get more partners inspired and bring solutions to market which can incentivize entrepreneurs to really take the next step, I think we can have a very, very, very big impact. So through the Reinvented Toilet program, I think we're going to bring solutions that would be much more sustainable for our communities. The sanitation sectors have been, splitting solutions for poor and rich people. What we're trying to do here is going to make sanitation inclusive. If we manage to do this very well, it's going to be a solution that works for everyone. We really have to put people at the heart of this. No one in this world dreamed to become poor. Everyone wants the best in the world. No one dreamed to use a bad toilet. You don't wake up one day and say, hey, I want to stick to a dirty latrine. People want good solution. And what we're doing here and what you will be doing in the next few years is really contributing to that. So thank you, everyone.